Hey guys, Nick here with Home with Nick, and we are bringing you a very special episode, a very special interview today because I just want to spread some good news. And I feel like as far as us being millennials, as our generation, we are constantly attacked, we're constantly bombarded. I mean, we're the reason why this recent plague has been spreading more because we're going out and partying, or we can't buy houses because we're burdened with student loan debt, or we're the most paranoid generation due to the amount of terrorism that's been infused into our society. So there's all this negative stuff constantly about millennials and how we are going to have such a hard time getting out into the market and how it's just going to be so challenging for us in life. And I just think it's so funny that now there's this whole boomer versus millennial movement as well happening on Twitter and Instagram and all of this jazz. And so I just want to spread some good news today. And the truth is millennials can buy homes. And I'm bringing you today an interview with some really near dear friends of mine. I thought they were the perfect candidate because yes, they've got student loan debt. Yes, they've been on the planet right about that parameter between the 25-year-old and the 35-year-old out there in the world. They went to college, they did the whole deal. And I feel like as far as a candidate to explain to you what their experience was like with buying a home, I could not pick a better pair. And if this video goes well, I'm probably going to end up doing a series of these because I've got so many people in my life who have been in the trenches just like me, made it happen for themselves. And in the essence of time, let's just get right to it. I want to introduce you to my friends, Krista and Erik Larson. I've known them for a very long time, and hilariously enough, they bought a house only 8, 9, 10 blocks away from me right now. So I'm going to be explaining to you guys, or asking them questions, letting them explain what their home buying process was like. So let's start with our first question. How was it, you guys, looking for homes?
Looking for homes is super easy, especially when you have the right realtor. So we looked at a lot of different homes. It kind of was very broad, and then as we went along, we knew what we wanted more and more. So then we, at each time we would go out, we would look at less because we were more focused on what we wanted, and we knew what we wanted to look at.
Now, I know there's a lot of studies on this next one, but I'm really curious to see for you guys personally if you match up to the studies out there where people sometimes start their search a year, 2 years even online. But how early did you guys start looking for properties online?
I'd say it was pretty early on, maybe even like a year or two beforehand. It started just as something as really simple. So, hey, look, we're on Zillow or whatever, and oh, look, here's a house. Let's go look at that one. Or let's just take a look at the photos for that one just to kind of get the idea of what we were both into. And then kind of as we were fortunate enough to get into a position to buy one, we started to get more and more serious about our discussions on what would we both want and kind of how we would want to approach looking at and considering homes.
Now, there's a lot of common websites, and again, I've even done a video on my favorite apps and whatnot, so I'm not sure if you guys used, the Realtor.com app or even maybe something else, but what did you guys actually use? What apps did you use to actually search for a home? What worked best for you?
Redfin app was really good, and then also the Zillow app. So I think the Redfin app is a little bit more accurate as far as the listings and the value. Yeah, so we started with Zillow and then we kind of went over to Redfin, but they have a lot of the same things. So, but it's nice because it has an app, so it makes it easy, and it'll tell you when new ones pop up and for what you're looking for and your price range and everything. So that kind of helps too.
So everybody has their different style, their different taste. I like to call it your own flavor. Clearly my flavor is very colorful, which is not the norm. People like a lot of grayish out there. Grayish. But what were you guys attracted to when you were looking at homes? Like, what was that like, oh my gosh, if we could just have this, like what were you looking for? What was the ideal situation?
What I really knew that I wanted was large kind of entertainment space, just because we like to have people over.
We like to have parties.
Yeah. No, it's good to have people over and to kind of show your house off. So that's one of the big things we were looking for. And then I also want a garage. Just the extra storage space, be able to keep your car inside.
And we're
really
also
nice.
Really active people, so we have a lot of surfboards and bikes and golf clubs, which is hard to keep inside your house. And then also we wanted 2 bedrooms because as we said, we like to have people over, so having a guest room was important. And I really like the open floor plans, so I watch a lot of HGTV.
Too much.
So as millennials looking for homes and on your journey in life, you guys are just starting out, what did you guys end up buying? Tell the audience, what did you end up buying and why did you end up buying it?
I guess the home that we ended up buying was a 2-bed, 2-bath condo, roughly 1,000 square feet.
1,200. The 200
Yeah,
counts.
the 200 counts. But yeah, so we decided that a condo was the best choice for us as a first-time home buyer, just because we wouldn't have to deal with landscaping and some of the exterior stuff up front.
But it's also your time, so
Right.
we're, again, active, so when we're not, at home sleeping or cooking dinner, then we're probably out and about, at Disneyland or at some random location traveling. So we don't have a lot of time on weekends to spend necessarily doing landscaping or cutting the grass. So it was kind of a nice balance for us at this stage in our life.
This is a funny question because I know there's a lot of torn views out there, guys, but as a millennial, how did you guys feel about the market when you were buying a home?
There were a lot of a lot of homes on the market when we were looking. I mean, a lot, but then at the same time, we still looked at a lot of homes before we found the one that we liked a lot. It was hard to find a good balance in our price range and the size that we wanted for the location that we wanted.
Big thing that stops a lot of millennials out there, and it's like, hey, I've got student loan debt, I can't buy a house, I've got to pay that off first, or I have to get them down to a certain balance, or I've got to do a remodification or consolidation of all of my debt. And the truth is, did you guys have student loans? What was that like for you? Is it possible for somebody to actually go out there and buy a home with student loans? I want people to hear it from your guys' standpoint.
We did have student loans when we were looking for a house, so don't let that be something that holds you back. We still have student loans and we have a mortgage, so as long as you factor that into how much you can afford per month, like with your mortgage and everything, as long as you can still afford your student loan payments, that's not a huge issue. It just, again, depends on how you break down your financials every month.
I know for me being in real estate, this one's always really funny because I know that when I say, hey, listen, you got to get your financial situation in order, people tend to be like, whoa, what is that? But I guess the question for me would be, what was scary about getting pre-approved for you? Was getting pre-approved scary? And how did that work out for you guys?
I'd say the whole scariest thing about getting pre-approved is, I guess, just understanding all the financials of everything that goes into buying a house. Because for most people, everybody understands the basic idea of a mortgage and having to have a down payment and whatnot. But
I didn't.
but like all the other add-ons and stuff that kind of goes into a loan, kind of makes it a little bit scary because you just don't necessarily know what you're getting into unless you do a lot of research on it. So having somebody that you can kind of lean on or talk with, or somebody who's been with it before, is definitely helpful. When you first start talking to a vendor about getting pre-approved, definitely have your general numbers for finances written down. Stuff that would be, you'd want to have like a good idea on what your credit score would be, how much credit card debt, how much student loan debt, other outstanding debts that you have, your overall household income. As long as you kind of have a basic idea of where your financials stand, at least to start, that'll be plenty of information for them to get going. Don't be afraid to shop your mortgage either. There's plenty of places out there that offer you rates, and all of them have different fees or how they break everything down. So don't be afraid to call as many as you feel is necessary to understand what kind of rates you're looking at for yourself.
Sometimes I feel like I should do a whole video just on this next question, which is basically, what was escrow like? Because I think a lot of people don't understand what escrow is, and the topic of escrow is boring, but I think it can be kind of intimidating to people who don't know, especially millennials out there looking for a home. So again, what was escrow like for you guys?
So escrow, at first it's exciting because you're about to buy a home, but I'd say
it went really fast for us, I feel like.
Yeah.
Just because of the circumstances of our escrow, like the people that we were buying from were really interested in getting out really fast, and it was a little scary because it was like, oh my gosh, this is happening like now.
Kind of like all of a sudden, oh crap, now we have keys. All right, now or no, hey, now we have to go run over and with an inspector and whatnot. So a lot of things just happen fast. So just be ready once you do get into escrow. Plan out a couple days that you will probably have to take off from work or take off early, just so you can have time to walk around with the building inspector or any other little last minute things that you want to check out about the place.
Someone also told me not to leave the country when you're trying to do your paperwork or when you're buying a house. And I went to Mexico for the weekend, and I ended up sitting on the phone with our broker for several hours trying to figure out what all different things meant. I would definitely pass that along to you. Do not leave the country when you're trying to buy a house. It just makes things easier.
Things are starting to heat up. I like this next one. So how did your inspection go? Did you guys find any issues, repairs, all that jazz? Just get right into it.
The inspection was super easy. So Nick was able to find us this super good inspector, and he walked the house. It maybe took him and not even an hour to look at everything, and he had pictures of everything, was super well documented, and he clearly knew his stuff, so he was able to be like, you have copper pipes, which is really good because that means they were replaced recently and they're not for a home this old, and you want to get this replaced. And he knew the exact electrical panel that we had that was needed to be replaced and stuff like that. So he was very knowledgeable. So we were able to ask for the right things as far as safety went. I mean, the inspection went really well, so I think we're lucky. I've heard of other people not having great inspections, but I think our building was upkept well enough that it really wasn't a big issue when it came to the inspection. So it's pretty straightforward.
This is kind of interesting because I think on average it's about 22 to 26 jobs that the average real estate transaction actually employs. Believe it or not, 22 to 26 different people you're actually giving a job to when you buy a house. So huge economic substance there, right? Who would you guys say was the most important person to you when you were buying a home?
First off, the real estate agent, because you really want to know somebody or have somebody that, again, you trust. So they can really help guide you through the whole process. So every time something would happen, I would call Nick what does this mean? Or we have no idea what we're doing here. And he was able to help guide us through the process. And then also your mortgage broker is really important because he also has to guide you through a lot of different things when you're doing all the different contracts. So if they are able to relay all the information very simply and easily, that makes your life a lot easier.
So lessons learned. What would you guys do differently? Krista and Erik, what would you guys do differently if you were to buy a home in the future or anytime sooner? If you were to redo the whole thing, what would you do differently the second time?
Well, the only thing I kind of regret is jumping on the mortgage interest rate so quickly, but it's just really hard because it's so volatile and it changes literally by the hour. So basically when you go to apply for a mortgage, your interest rate is dependent on a lot of different things, but it's a lot of dependent on the market at the moment. So when we applied and then we had been told, it's probably gonna be in the 3s, and then when we got the call and said, okay, you're gonna get it for 4.1, we're that's high, but it was it's just because it goes up and down, and you don't know if it's just because the market's going up now or if it's because if it'll go back down. So they ask you if you want to lock in your rate, and I didn't know what to do, so I panicked and I was like, sure, lock it in. But again, was in Mexico, so but I think I would probably maybe wait if it's a little higher than I think, just to see if it still is going up or if it would go back down to what we were told it would possibly be.
Now, I know the goal for a lot of us, and this is something I've been really great at in my life, but not everybody's fortunate enough to do this, is you're able to actually buy your home and then move out and rent out the one behind you and not have to sell it and start to build your rental empire, right? That's what we really want to do. But do you guys actually plan to live in your home for a long time? Do you plan to sell it? What do you plan to do? Maybe rent it out? What's your plans?
I don't know. We don't know. Yeah, we just we're still in our first year of home ownership, so we're not really certain if we want to keep this one and have it be a rental or sell it when we feel like we are ready to grow out of it.
I think if we are financially able to, we would love to keep it and have it bring in money or make money for us, but who knows where we'll be financially in however many years.
But right now, we're just kind of enjoying where we are and trying to make this home be the best that it can be.
So what are you guys currently working on in your home? Because I know you bought a condo, needed some love. There was some TLC that definitely had to take place, a little bit of a time capsule inside, which I'm sure a lot of people watching this video are actually looking for, that fixer-upper project to put in that sweat equity, which is awesome. But what are you guys currently working on in your home, or what have you done so far?
Well, we've already done quite a bit. We've had to take down some cabinets to open up some space in the kitchen. We've replaced all the flooring in the kitchen, and we've repainted all the cabinets. I'm pretty sure we've repainted walls in here about 5 different times because we couldn't decide on what color we wanted to put on things. And then probably the biggest pain was to replace the indoor-outdoor carpet that we had in our patio, just because I'd been on there for decades and it's just a pain. But we plan on updating countertops and starting to go after the bathrooms next.
Again, Krista and Erik, thank you guys so much for doing this today. I really appreciate it. It has been such a wealth of knowledge for people watching, I'm sure.
We love you, Nick. You're amazing.
And again, guys, remember, spread the good news. Millennials can buy homes. It's possible. You can start your journey. And I say get in sooner rather than later. If you're worried about saving up for a down payment, I'm working on a video right now on how to save up for a down payment or how that actually affects you in the financial world. So I'll be posting that very soon. But my thing is, guys, hey, if you have the desire to own a home and you're a millennial watching this video, and I'm just gonna say anybody under 40, let's just put them in a bucket. If you're looking to buy a home, guys, you can do it. It is possible. Talk to a lender sooner rather than later. You'd be so shocked to find out what your financial situation could be like if you actually wanted to get out there and buy a home. So again, big thanks to Krista and Erik. No matter what industry you're getting into out of college, whether you went to college or not, whether you've got a big savings or not, get on a plan today because your home ownership dreams can become reality sooner rather than later. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Nicholas Montier. Thanks for checking us out at Home with Nick. I really appreciate it. Again, feel free to subscribe. I would love to subscribe. Hit the like button, comment below if there's a question you feel like I should have asked Krista and Erik and you're like, hey, you didn't even get into that. Write it below. I will do maybe a part 2 where I'll send you a private message or chat from Krista and Erik themselves. They can kind of share a little bit more on their home ownership experience thus far. Again, they're new into it, so maybe we'll do a check-in video sometime soon on their whereabouts and how they're actually handling the new reality of home ownership and what that's like for them. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm Nicholas Montier. I will see you next time.